The land down under has never been easier to reach. United Airlines has more flights between the US and Australia than any other US airline, so you can fly nonstop to destinations like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Explore dazzling cities, savor the very best of Aussie cuisine, and get up close and personal with the wildlife. Who doesn't want to hold a koala? Go to united.com/Australia to book your adventure.
Today on CityCast Portland, we're continuing our Neighborhood Guide series where we talk with Portlanders about the good, bad, and ugly of where they live. And this time, we're talking about East Portland's Powellhurst-Gilbert neighborhood with Peter Condra. Peter is events manager at the Columbia Land Trust, board member co-chair of Greenlands, and a really good friend of mine. And he's going to be sharing with us all why you shouldn't be sleeping on his incredibly diverse and nature-heavy corner of the city. It's Wednesday, August 28th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Well, before we get into specific spots to check out, do you want to name the boundaries of Powellhurst-Gilbert just so people know what area you're talking about?
Yeah, I have a few ways to answer that. One, I like to say it's in between the Peephole Adult Superstore and the Multnomah Holiness Camp. So I can be more specific, though, if you'd like. We're sort of framed east to west between the Jade District along 82nd on the west side, and then the incredible Powell Butte on the east side. The northern border is along Division between 82nd and 142nd, and the southern border runs between Southeast 111th and 145th.
So basically almost Gresham is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, actually, there is a funny moment on Southeast 122nd when you cross Powell and it points to the right. If you're driving north, it says Gresham that way, and it points to the left and says Portland that way to your west. And so you're like, okay, Portland's that way, Gresham's that way. Where am I? And it's like, you're in neither. You must be in Powellhurst. Some other fun facts, just like high-level Powellhurst. I learned it has the largest population of any neighborhood in Portland.
What?
And also, more Portlanders live east of the 205 freeway than in the entire west side. Isn't that surprising? I didn't know that.
West side, like west of the river?
Yeah.
That makes sense to me because I just think there's a lot of hills up there and big houses, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, but that makes sense. But that's a good fact. Okay, well, aside from these, seriously, fun facts, give me your best Powellhurst-Gilbert pitch. Like, what do you love about living there?
I would say, I love that I know my neighbors. I lived in the Inner East Side for 15 years, and maybe because it was smaller quarters, we were trying to kind of be small and not look at each other and maintain some privacy. But really, I've never known so many of my neighbors and had them open up their homes and just help each other out. So that was for sure the most notable thing in moving there. There's so many incredible Asian and Eastern European restaurants and businesses out here, just one of a kind, never to be repeated spots that are family owned. Of course, predominantly in the Jade District, which is that concentration of businesses along 82nd south of Division. And then, out further east where I live, there's a handful of really great Eastern European bakeries and businesses. So checking that out is great. And the parks are amazing. We have some of the biggest, most epic parks like Powell Butte, which I can get into, Kelly Butte, which is a little creepy, but it's getting some improvements going on. And then the Portland Memory Garden, which is a sweet little baby gem. Can I elaborate on that one?
Yeah, no, I heard the Portland Memory Garden, and I think I know what it is, but yeah, please elaborate.
It's one of, I think, 8 memory gardens in the U.S., and it was dedicated in 2002 here. It is designed specifically to meet the needs of people with memory disorders like Alzheimer's and to provide respite for their caregivers. Some of the features are 4 seasons of plants that specifically are aromatic. That's something that often triggers memories for people. And all the elements are considered for them. The circular pattern, the restroom and the little monuments throughout it, and the drinking fountain. And I find that super tender and sweet. When I read their page about it, I was like, oh my God, I need to volunteer there or something.
Well, you volunteer a lot.
Oh God.
I don't think you have much time.
Cut me off.
I'm like, sorry, Peter, we need to hang out occasionally, so you can't volunteer anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a bit about the positives, and I do want to confirm that your neighbors are sweet as heck.
Right?
And I love visiting you.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Emily.
Yeah, it's just so much tree coverage too. I feel like it's so much cooler in your neighborhood specifically.
Yeah, we got a good street, got a good thing going on.
So we've talked a bit about the positives. Now, what are a few of your personal Powellhurst-Gilbert gripes?
There's some really bad statistics and realities out here. Reading information from the 2020 census, Powellhurst ranks number 1 in terms of food insecurity among its residents. So that's a serious problem. High rates relative to the rest of the city for crime and for poverty. And also it's part of East Portland's urban heat island where most of the area doesn't have great tree cover. So that plus lots of reflective surface makes it just extra hot here. And I know in the Lents and Powellhurst area, there was like a higher level of mortality during the heat dome events from a couple years ago.
Right.
It is convenient to have the 205 connecting you to the rest of the city and to the airport. But of course, if you live along the 205 freeway, that's a big source of pollution, really bad for childhood physical and cognitive development. And if you have breathing issues or immunocompromised, living along the freeway is a big problem. So also weird stuff like there will be sidewalks for maybe like 2 houses and then it just stops. There's like not a consistent sidewalk situation.
Yeah.
And also there's no like center Powellhurst neighborhood like street. It's not like, oh, Belmont, there's your little string of businesses. Yes, I would say 82nd, the J District has for sure an identity and semi-walkable, but really it's a place where you drive from place to place. There's not one like bar area, definitely not a neighborhood of bars, but that's fine too.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about the no central hangout area. You're basically meaning like in most of Portland, neighborhoods have their own downtown business district. It's really weird, but it's true. And that's what makes everything so walkable.
Right. If I wanted to go somewhere and kind of feel like there is sort of a space like, oh, this is the little town center, I would go to the tiny version we have of that in Lents, on 92nd near Foster and Woodstock. There's a little touch of that. Montevilla, Foster Powell.
But that's Lents, that's Lents.
I know. In preparation for this, I looked at the map and I was like, oh shit, that's in Lents too. That's not even in my neighborhood. I don't think people know when they're in Lents or Powellhurst. In fact, on the like ArcGIS website that shows cool maps of the city, there's like a disputed area that's Lents/Powellhurst-Gilbert. It's like, really? Like, what is going on?
We're gonna clear this up today. That's what you and I are gonna do, Peter. we're gonna get it right.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, haunted parks and where the locals hang out. This year's Calvin and Mayho Tanabe Address, which is the annual lecture the OHSU Foundation puts on that brings thought-provoking speakers to Portland, is featuring a non-human keynote speaker for the first time in its nearly 10-year history. They're actually hosting Sophia the Robot, an AI-powered humanoid who has spoken at the UN and is the first machine to receive citizenship. Sophia has captured the imaginations of global audiences since her debut at South by Southwest 8 years ago. Her interactive talk takes place on Wednesday, November 13th at the Newmark Theater. It's all about the awe-inspiring potential of AI and robotics to advance healthcare and life sciences. So go grab your tickets today at ohsufoundation.org/Tanabe. That's TANABE. There are so many meal kits and food delivery service options out there, but imagine having your own personal chef that does all the planning, shopping, cooking, and even cleaning. They also take your dietary goals and restrictions in mind. Every meal customizable and made fresh to order in your own kitchen. And on top of all that, it's affordable, priced similarly to grabbing takeout. Sounds a little too good to be true, right? Well, Chefs for Senior is doing just that. They're a one-of-a-kind in-home meal preparation service that doesn't just deliver meals, they provide the chef. And it's not just for seniors, they're also serving those recently discharged from the hospital, new parents, and those who would rather just have someone else do the cooking so they can focus on the things they'd rather do. Check it out for yourself at chefsforseniors.com/portland.or. That's chefsforseniors.com/portland.or. So where would you take someone new to the area? Just 3 top picks of like friends visiting from out of town or family member. Where are they going?
Well, I'm going to come back to Powell Butte because I can't say enough good things about that. Just right from my neighborhood, you can enter on the Holgate side of that, on the west side of the park. It has old growth forest surrounding this meadow in the center. And that old growth forest was left because it was helpful to contain the cows that pastured in the dairy farm that used to be there. There's since been a bunch of restoration work, and it's actually a wonderful place to see wildflowers in the spring and summer. So that's not terribly common in city parks. So it's 600 acres large and has all these great trails you can actually get in like a proper hike. And I went there this morning and I saw a coyote, and that was cool. It was in the middle of the path. The number 2 thing, enthusiastically recommend the Roman Russian Market on Division, somewhere in the 90s. And that place is like, if you're coming over to my house, I'm going to stop there and pick up a bunch of deli food and some freshly baked bread on my way home. And that's what we're having. Like, instead of me cooking, that's just what I do. And
you've done that.
Yeah.
What was that? I remember you brought some stuff and we were just like, what is this bread? It was like it was so delicious. Do you remember?
Well, I guarantee you there was fresh baked bread, maybe rye bread. But they have a bunch of vegetable sides, and I get a kick out of that.
That's what it was. That's what it was, like vegetable caviar.
The eggplant caviar. Yeah. Okay, so 2 products I'm really excited about there. They have in their deli every time what they call Korean carrots, and it is like string cut carrots. And I would say the sauce they're in tastes like fenugreek and coriander and garlic and something sweet. And then you mentioned the eggplant caviar. There's like 12 at least brands of things ranging from eggplant caviar, which is like fire roasted eggplant with onions and a variety of things, all the way to ajika sauce featuring tomatoes and peppers. So we just have like a whole aisle of marinara, on a lot of grocery stores. Just like, yeah, that's like 12 kinds of marinara. It's like that, but more on the eggplant side. And they'll be made in Russia, Ukraine, Armenia. Like, it's a fun little deep dive I like to take.
Nice. I can also confirm that it's delicious.
There's more there. I just remembered they have inside the market a little coffee shop where you can get like gyros and crepes and dumplings made fresh, and coffee and desserts. They're open till 11 every night. And best of all, it has a really fun name. It's called the Rough Russian Cafe. I want to know the story. I don't know why, but that's definitely what it's called.
Well, what's another place?
My 3rd spot that I love to take folks is Beijing Hot Pot.
Okay.
So that's along 82nd. It's in the same little parking lot corner as Javiel, which is a much celebrated Vietnamese restaurant there. But Beijing Hot Pot, it really stands out to me because it's just like a unique sensory experience. We'll say it's very small. I think I've actually been there with you. It's small and brightly lit and very quiet, and you have to like make your food together at the table. So I actually recommend this as a bold choice for a first date. Like, if you can deal with this other person under bright lights, close quarters, almost silent, just some like gentle flute music in the background, and then you have to cooperate on making your food together. Like, if they don't pass that test, like, are they really worth a second date?
Right. Oh my God. I love that you're just like, this really awkward restaurant. I freaking love it. I take everyone. The food is delicious is what I'm assuming you're going to say next.
That's also true.
A trial.
That's also true. But you know what? It's worth it because the food is that good. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so what is up with Kelly Butte? Because I know you've brought it up before and you're just like, no. But I mean, did you ever take people there at all?
No, I don't think so. I went there once alone. Maybe that was my first problem. So first off, one funny thing about it, the driveway up to there is definitely where like teenagers go to smoke bongs in their cars. And that was just funny and cute. That was not a problem. I was just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And it has these arching trees that are very like Sleepy Hollow kind of creepy. They kind of curve over the path. I don't believe in ghosts, but I just got this, like the hair stood up on the back of my neck and I didn't,
Really?
I was like, you got to get out of here. And so I went back and read about it, and it has some historical baggage there. I mean, not to mention thousands of years of human history that I don't know about, but in a quick Wikipedia search, since the 1900s, it's been used as a prison for hard labor. It was a quarry, so people were breaking rocks there while doing time. It's been used as a wartime bunker. It's been used as an infectious disease isolation unit, all before it became the site of a reservoir of a water tank in the 60s. So there's some stories there, and maybe that's what was, making me feel spooked. But I don't believe in ghosts. I just don't want to go back there.
Yeah, so you're not going to take someone there is what I'm hearing. It's not one of your...
No, but there is...
I guess I just wanted you to take me. I was like, will you take me? Because I've heard about like how weird it is. And I was like, we've never gone, but okay.
Well, let's have a memorable, awkward trip together. I'm all about it.
Okay. We'll bring some sage. How about that?
That sounds good. And actually, the city is going to invest in like trails and restoration and signage and other things. So it's about to get a new makeover. So new energy is coming to Kelly Butte.
Cool. Well, let's talk about where the locals hang out. Where are some places in your area?
Right. I'm going to try to sort of dodge that because there's so many different communities of locals, and I definitely don't speak for all of them. So back to the Roman Russian market, there are all ages of folks there hanging out all the time. The Rough Russian Cafe is packed, and you will not hear English spoken there at all. And so that's a tight-knit community there. And same goes with the Jade District. It's super evident that in a lot of these restaurants, the guests and the staff know each other very well, and indicates, once again, a really tight community in those areas. Not really a bar scene. The bars, like video poker is kind of the main thing that's going on at those spots. So I don't know about that, but there's a lot of churches. There's like an Eritrean Orthodox church down the street from me, and so many others. There's like a lot of the things that kind of are not just like, oh, here's the clubs or the bar district. It's not quite like that. I find amongst my neighbors, I mentioned, we hang out at our houses if we're in the area, and it's nice having, once again, bigger lots, hanging out in the backyard and just kind of doing more like house parties, but for our 40s.
Yeah.
Not like house parties were back in the day.
Yeah, wine. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about wine and eggplant caviar.
Yeah. Oh God, it's true.
And some pickled carrots. That's what we're talking about.
Party.
Well, I also wanted to give a shout out because we have a listener from Powellhurst-Gilbert. And when she found out that we were doing this neighborhood guide, she immediately was like, you need to do my neighborhood because it's awesome. And I just wanted to shout out our listener, Alexis. She said Whelan's Pub is a place that people hang out. I don't know if you've heard of it. Whelan's Irish. It's like an Irish pub.
For sure.
And she also mentioned Cherry Park Dog Park, which is a large off-leash dog park area, and a very kind, longtime neighbor of the park puts out a cart full of like gallon water jugs and bowls for the dogs, who also plays jazz music in her backyard for everyone. And I was like, that is the sweetest image. Have you been there with the jazz and the water?
I have. I think that might be in Mill Park, technically. Once again, who cares? But, that's where we do go take our dogs.
So you're saying, I love it. You're like, technically, that's not Powellhurst.
I learned all these disappointing realities when I researched a bit for this show. But that park is great. I love it. And I love that person for putting out the water. I'm definitely going to go check out Whelan. I'm glad she recommended that. So maybe that could be my new neighborhood bar.
Yeah. And she also mentioned Ed Benedict Skate Park. But again, I don't know if that's Powellhurst or if that is Lentz,
Actually, remember how I said there was on the ArcGIS website like a Lentz/Powellhurst?
This is it.
It falls in there. It is in the disputed territory between Lentz and Powellhurst.
Yeah, that's so funny. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for taking the time to hang out with me. I hope all of our listeners out in outer Southeast, like, please write in. Did we miss anything? Are there other Southeast neighborhoods that anybody wants to come represent? Like, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah.
I feel like the next one should just be lengths. It should just be like, you know, like in an album where the song doesn't end. It just sort of like, there's like a little segue and then comes the next song.
Yeah, I don't usually know where one ends and the other begins. So I'm down with that. We could have like a spoken word interlude track though, if you want.
Okay.
That's a thing sometimes.
So I immediately started thinking of it and I'm like, no, we gotta stop because it will happen. We will start slamming some poetry. Nobody wants that.
No.
All right. Thank you, Peter.
All right. Thanks, Claudia. See you next time.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend, rate or leave us a review. It really does help us out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.